Good morning.
Our ceremony will begin shortly. Please take your places and silence your cell phones. Please rise while the colors are posted. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for our opening prayer. Joel Abelov will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, you who are the source of our life, strength, and purpose, in your presence alone we find help, hope, and life. Guide us during this hour of fellowship and reflection to be grounded with a healing reminder of your love to all whose lives we touch this day. For it is in your glory we gather and offer our prayers. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning. I'm Peter K. Gobo. I'm the director of the Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. We have gathered here this morning to honor a deceased Rensselaer County veteran for the month of January, and that veteran is Thomas J. Gaynor. We are honored to have with us this morning family members, his daughter Patricia Renna, his son Thomas Gaynor Jr., his sister Elizabeth Gaynor, his grandson Keith DeRocher, his grandson Michael DeForge, granddaughter Andrea Seeger, granddaughter Sherry Jemmett, granddaughter Kayla Grugan, great-granddaughter Olivia Lemire, and niece Beverly Maloney. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month are Congressman Paul Tonko, representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, District Director Amanda Boomhauer, former Congressman Michael McNulty, New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby, Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin, Rensselaer County Legislative Chairman Mike Stammel, Colonel Milton Kelly, Commander of the Waterville Fleet Arsenal, and legislators Tom Grant and Carol Weaver. As we are all well aware, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program was created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Lansingburg, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Marine Corps League, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Korean War Veterans, Tri-County Council of Vietnam-era Veterans, Heroes at Home, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Vietnam Veterans of America, AMVETS, and the Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. I will now ask Mike Stammel, Rensselaer County Legislative Chairman, to come forward to tell us about our honored veteran for the month of January, Thomas J. Gaynor.
Good morning. My name is Michael Stammel, and I am the chairman of the Rensselaer County Legislature. I'd like to welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the first honorary deceased veteran ceremony for 2019. I would also like to take into account those new elected officials who are joining us today, as well as those who are always here to elect those who are always here, those elected officials, in order to commemorate and honor these honorary vets as well. And of course to our long-standing Congressman McNulty in the back, who is never misses a ceremony. Thank you very much, Congressman. We are very proud of our long-standing tradition in honoring the citizens who have selfishly served our country here in the military. And today we are gathered to celebrate the life and service of Thomas J. Gaynor. Thomas J. Gaynor was born on August 29, 1922 in Troy, New York, to the late Peter and Julia Hannah Gaynor. Thomas was the brother of Ann Maloney, Elizabeth Gaynor, Robert Gaynor, and the late James Gaynor, Catherine Gaynor, and Francis Scarinci. Sorry about that. Thomas was a graduate of Troy High School and Siena College, Evening Divisions, where he earned a bachelor's degree in business administration. Thomas enlisted in the United States Army in February 18, 1943, during World War II in Albany, New York. He served in the Pacific Theater as a surgical technician prior to his arrival in the Western Pacific Theater operations on January 13, 1945. Private Gaynor completed a surgical technician training at Billings General Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana. Private Gaynor was served as a surgical technician in support of the Battle of Okinawa, codenamed Operation Iceberg. While stationed at the 374th General Hospital on Tinia, in a small island between Saipan and Guam in northern Mariana Islands, the United States Army had constructed a giant air base on Tinia to support the 313th Bomberment Wing of the B-29 Super Forster bombers. The hospital was situated on the high-level area, the north side of the island, overlooking North Field, where the B-29 bombers were located. The Battle of Okinawa resulted in the highest number of casualties in the Pacific Theater during World War II, and with 10,000 American soldiers perishing. On February 20th, 1946, Technician 4th Grade Gaynor was honorably discharged from the United States Army at Fort Dix, New Jersey, for the honorable service to his country. Technician 4th Grade Gaynor was awarded the Army Good Conduct Medal, the American Campaign Medal, the Aztec Pacific Campaign Medal, and World War II Victory Medal, and the Honorable Service Lapel Pin. Thomas returned to Troy after his service, and several years later married his wife, the late Ruth Ryan Gaynor, on February 7, 1953. Thomas was the father of Thomas Gaynor Jr., Ruth Minahan, Patricia Renna, Mary DeFiglio, and Annette Labarge, and the late Rosemary Gaynor. Thomas is also survived by 8 grandchildren, 1 great-granddaughter, and several nieces and nephews. Thomas was employed as a supervisor of the New York State Department of Motor Vehicle Inspection Unit in Albany for 15 years, retiring in 1987. He then worked part-time at the Broadway News in Troy for several years. There, Thomas was made many friends and a regular in the Broadway News, which was a busy downtown spot for coffee, newspapers, lottery tickets. There, Thomas would talk about his favorite team, the New York Yankees and the New York Giants. That made him a hero in my book, I'll tell you that. Okay. Thomas was also a volunteer coach and a manager in the Central Little League in Troy for many years. He was a life member of the Water Elite VFW, a past commander for 30 years, a member of the Troy VFW Post, number 469, and a member of the Patroon Club. Thomas was also the Democratic committeeman in the 13th Ward in the city of Troy. Sadly, Thomas Gaynor passed away on December 19, 1997, and was buried in St. Mary's Cemetery in Troy, New York. Thomas is deeply missed by his family and his friends. Today, we are grateful for Thomas's service to our community and our country, and we are honored to have his family here with us today to remember his life and service. Thank you very much.
I will now ask Congressman Paul Tonko to come forward.
Good morning, everyone. Always a cherished opportunity to join with everyone, with our veterans, our distinguished veterans, and certainly with my colleagues in government, former Congressman, always Congressman Mike McNulty, who planted the seeds for these recognition ceremonies in several counties. We thank you for that, Mike, and thank you for always attending. To my colleagues in government and the state and federal level and local level, pleasure to join with you in these commemorations. And most of all, to the family. Certainly to Pat and Tom, it's an honor to join with you today, and Betty, and the remaining members of the family who join us here, recognizing a person of greatness, Thomas J. Gaynor, who provided his skills, his talents, his passion, and undeniable patriotism on behalf of this nation and the world, so that we can be a people that are free. And as a young adult, left the roots of Troy, New York, his hometown, the comforts of that hometown and the familiarity of home to join in the forces of the military. As I listened to that detail that was provided by Chair Stemmer, can't help but imagine that he had a very skilled talent as a surgical technician to be able to assist in that Pacific theater and be there as a healer for our troops that were wounded. And no small task that was assigned him. So we thank him for his greatness in that regard and making certain that our forces could be fit and ready to fight the battles for freedom and to protect the ideals of this nation, not only for us, but to advance them and promote them to freedom-loving people around the world. So this morning we say thank you to an individual like Thomas J. Gaynor. We thank him for his service and his exemplary work as a community-spirited individual, coming back and continuing in a role of service through DMV, making certain that people's needs were met, and volunteering himself on behalf of the youth of our community, and certainly through the VFW. So a many-faceted involvement with him, and speaks volumes of who he is as an individual, as a character, and certainly one who loved his nation and his community. We are always moved by these stories. The many medals that he earned that decorated him speak to his invaluable service to the nation, and recognizing that Pacific Theater Medal and the World War II Victory Medal and the many others spoke to the absolute contribution that he made. So this morning we say thank you in a very humble way. If there's anything about our greatest generation veterans, it's that they didn't talk about their service to the nation. They saw it as something that was just called upon them to do. And we recognize that order of humility in a very inspirational way that motivates us to continue in like fashion. On behalf of my friend and colleague, Congressman Antonio Delgado, we have asked that a flag be flown over our nation's capital to pay tribute to Thomas J. Gaynor. I will note in conclusion that both parties in our democracy and our republic understand the value of political participation, and his work as a committee person is something that we can all cherish. It's those folks who go out there and do the groundwork to make certain we're on the ballot, and then guide us and advise us as we go forward if we're successful. So we thank him for his contribution to make certain that we have vibrant participation with whatever party we embrace, so that people have choice. And we thank him for that. God bless him, Thomas J. Gaynor, person of greatness, an individual that we respect humbly. Thank you very much. I'll ask Amanda to join me. Certainly she'll be commenting, but to present the flag together.
I will now ask Amanda Boomhauer, representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, to come forward.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here with you all on behalf of Congressman Antonio Delgado, who is unable to be here this morning. I'd just like to take a moment to thank all the veterans in the room for your service and for your dedication to our nation, but also to the families of our veterans who sacrifice so much to support the veterans when they come home and in times of recovery and the struggles that they sometimes face. I'd like to let you know that our office will be here to support you and help you in any way that we can with any assistance that you need with Veterans Affairs. And please feel free to reach out to us with anything that we can do to be helpful. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here and for the service to our nation. Thank you.
I will now ask our Rensselaer County Executive, Steve McLaughlin, to come forward.
Good morning. Happy New Year. It's an honor, pleasure, privilege to be here today with all of our colleagues in federal, state, local government, including our newly elected folks. Certainly welcome everybody, and want to thank the family, the Gaynor family, for letting us honor Thomas today. And as Congressman Tonko said, it's really a life of service to watch what Thomas did, to look at what Thomas did to go off as a young guy, 21, 22 years old, as a surgical tech, and you think in 1945 what they were dealing with in an operating room in 1945 and the technology that they had compared to what we have now, especially in a battlefield situation. So pretty amazing service, and one of those fields of service that was so vitally necessary to keep everybody on the field and moving. So it was one of those vital parts that you always see that in everybody that served, is no matter what they did, it was vital to the mission. And then to come home, as Thomas did, as so many did of that generation, that greatest generation, and just continue on and live his life and raise a family and coach Little League. A little misguided in his choice of baseball team, but what can you do? He's a New Yorker, so it's very typical up here. But I'm misguided up here being a Red Sox fan. But you know, it seemed like he lived a great life and continued his service through the VFW and coaching kids and Little League, and I've done that myself, and you know how rewarding and fun that is. So, and I'm sure he took great pride in all of the family, the kids and the grandkids. So, thank you for letting us honor him today. It's our honor and privilege to do so. Thank you.
I will now ask former county legislator and former Rensselaer County Legislative Veterans Committee Chairman Tom Walsh and the assembled county legislators to come forward.
It's always good to come back here and do the ceremony. I did it for a number of years as a legislator, and I did join the Deceased Veterans Committee, so I am going to be here all the time, I guess. I want to thank the family for coming, and it's a good turnout, and it's just to honor Thomas today. He was in the surgical field, and he was assigned to an air base that the B-29s were very active in going over and did a lot of damage in Japan. And And just to be in the support of an organization like that is a great honor. And I don't think the Army or the Air Force could exist without a good medical backup for when their soldiers are injured or airmen. We have our Hall of Heroes out front here. You pass that as you come in. And on the left-hand wall, there's several plaques there that honor our deceased veterans for the past 10, 15 years. And Thomas will be on a plaque that will be honored next year. He's the first one for this year. They'll be on that. So you usually have anywhere from 10 to 12 veterans on that. So you would probably be invited back again when we do the presentation of that plaque out there. I have here a proclamation honoring Thomas, and it's signed by the chairman of the legislature, Michael Stamwell, and we'd like to present that to you at this time.
Thank you very much. I will now ask New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby to come forward.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you to the Gaynor family for allowing us to do this today, and thank you to Congressman McNulty for starting this event. And it's great to see a colonel here from the arsenal as well. And listening to the story of Thomas, I was thinking about the Battle of Okinawa and his role that he must have played in that as a surgical technician. That battle lasted nearly 3 months. So in terms of the Army and being a medical professional in there, you can have what's called a mass casualty event where you receive a number of casualties that come into your aid station. And Thomas, being a surgical technician and the Navy playing such a large role there, a lot of the advanced medical procedures were happening on ships at that time. But I imagine Thomas, being close to the airfield, didn't spend a lot of time on ships. He probably spent most of his time on the ground. And the majority of those 3 months would have been one long mass casualty event. And that's, that's something that not many of us can really fathom or perceive accurately, and how to endure something like that. And for him to come home and do what he did, it would have taken an incredible support system for something like that to happen, because there were a number of guys and gals that served during that time that had endured such atrocities and such events and came home and continue to serve. But it wouldn't be possible without the help of family and friends to make sure that they continue to contribute the way that they did and lead the fruitful and successful lives that they did. So on behalf of the New York State Assembly and my colleague John McDonald, who sends his sincere regards and was unable to be here today, I'd like to present this citation to you.
Tim Forbes from the Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Committee will present the committee plaque at this time. Would the committee members please stand?
On behalf of the Honor Deceased Veteran Committee, the residents of Rensselaer County and the veterans here assembled, please accept this plaque as a symbol of our appreciation for We love your service and thank you all for being here and letting us honor Thomas. We really appreciate it.
Please stand for the playing of taps and the closing prayer.
Anything on that?
Day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, the hill, and the sky. All is well. God of compassion, dignity, and strength, watch over this veteran and his family. Bless him and grant his family comfort and everlasting peace. Amen.
Amen.
Retire the colors. This concludes our Honor Vet ceremony for this month. Thank you for coming to honor our deceased veteran for the month of January, Thomas J. Gaynor. Please join us for our next Honor Veteran ceremony scheduled for February 11th. Before we go our separate ways, we'll take a few family photos. The flag will be raised at a different time and will be presented to the family later. Thank you again.